are several landfills that have been redeveloped into different things. One example of this is Fresh Kills Park. Fresh Kills Park is a 2,200-acre park in New York City, located on the western shore of Staten Island. This park is 3 times the size of Central Park and is in the 30-year-long process of being transformed from landfill into a spacious, community-oriented park. This piece of land originally consisted of tidal creeks and coastal marsh. In the 17th century, Dutch settlers named this area Fresh Kills. Kill is Dutch for body of water, most often being a creek, so the name, while sounding quite eerie in English, is actually just describing the land itself. Fast forward to 1948. World War II ended and New York City had to accommodate for an exponential rise in garbage. Robert Moses in New York City established the site as a temporary landfill, only to be open for 3 years. The 3 years turned into 53 years, and Fresh Kills became the largest landfill in the world. In the 1950s, Moses proposed to develop the site into parks, residential buildings, and industrial sections, but it never happened. And instead, by 1961, it had grown to be over 1,200 acres. In 1991, a landfill in Queens closed, and Fresh Kills became the only dumping ground for the entirety of New York City. What started as a 2,200-acre sea-level wetland quickly became 2,200 acres of hills up to 200 feet tall of buried garbage. In 1996, Borough President Guy Molinari filed a lawsuit against the mayor, claiming Fresh Kills violated the Clean Air Act. Molinari won, and it was required to close in 2001. It closed in March, but reopened later that year due to the terrorist attacks on 9/11, as part of the recovery effort. The debris from the buildings were disposed and sifted through here at Fresh Kills. In 2001, the design competition started for the landscape design of the new park. In 2003, James Corner Field Operations won the project. They had public safety as their main focus. The firm's master plan was adopted in 2006 and work started in 2008. Their plan consisted of 3 10-year phases. The trash is sealed under several feet of earth and a thick engineered cover. They designed this park to have a self-sustaining landscape. There were a few challenges throughout the process of redesigning the land. One challenge in the design phase was the size of the park. It is a huge 3.4 square mile park, which would take decades to fully design and implement every aspect of the design at once. The solution to this was to design a process for the park to evolve over time instead of planning and building everything at once. The designers split the park into several phases and sections, and it is slowly coming together while also being accessible to the public. A major challenge for the city was rebranding the space so that people will want to enjoy it. The public saw this land as a landfill where everyone's trash ended up, so it'd be hard for them to reimagine it as a recreational space they can enjoy. The city went through a process of talking to citizens and brainstorming ideas. They wanted to keep the significance of the land and educate people on what it used to be without scaring them off. The solution they came up with was to change the name from Fresh Kills to Fresh Kills. They also kept the community involved in the process and scheduled events for citizens to come see the progress and enjoy the new park. A challenge for the engineers was controlling leachate and landfill gases. They designed a system to capture and treat these byproducts. They created gas wells that collected the gas below the surface. There are 3 flare stations around the park. The flare stations vacuum the gases into the wells and send it to a purification plant. The purification plant treats the gas and makes it usable. It is then sold to National Grid, which is a gas company that uses this landfill gas to heat the houses of residents on Staten Island. As time goes on, the gas produced by the landfill will decrease. The city continues to collect data on the gas and monitor the conditions. They have determined that the gas is now safer and its methane is below the regulation amount allowed. Because of this, the gas treatment system will eventually be shut off and no longer needed. Leachate is controlled using pipes and occasionally walls. The pipes were installed around the hills of garbage to collect leachate and send it to a treatment plant. The walls are for extra protection to contain the leachate. The treatment plants separate the water from the waste and break down the organic matter. When the water has been fully treated, it is released to Arthur Kill, which is a narrow channel in Staten Island. There are 4 mounds at Fresh Kills that are treated for leachate. They are the north, south, east, and west mounds. The collection systems on the north and south mounds have been removed because it was determined that there was very little leachate left. These mounds were closed longer than the rest, so the leachate content was less. The east and west mounds are still being treated for leachate. As trash settles and decomposes, the mounds start to shrink. The height of the garbage-filled hills at Fresh Kills Park are expected to decrease by 10 to 15%, half of which will occur in the first 5 to 10 years. The land subsidence could slowly continue for 20 years. By the time the park is completed, the land should not settle much more. Since the park is mostly open field with little structures being built on it, the settlement should not be much of an issue. This project is a 30-year-long project, so let's see where it's at now. In 2010, they had their first public event. This was part of the getting the citizens involved in the process and showing them what's going on. In 2011, they had their first kayaking event. This shows how much variety will be at the park. There's so many things to do. Schmoll Park opened in 2012. This was the first complete park project. It had playgrounds, handball courts, and basketball courts. Owl Hollow Fields opened in 2013. These are soccer fields that the public can start to enjoy. In 2015, New Springville Greenway was complete. This is a 3.2-mile-long path along the edge of the park. It can be used for biking, running, and walking. Most recently, in 2023, North Park Phase 1 was complete. This 21 acres of land is near the Creek and Wildlife Rescue Center. Fresh Kills Park is said to be completed by 2036. The 2,200-acre landfill will then be a big, beautiful park for everyone to enjoy.